The sky over the planetarium glowed with strange colors, a mix of green and violet that no human had ever seen before. A cold wind swept across the barren rocks, carrying dust that sparkled like tiny stars. From above, a small ship broke through the atmosphere, its engines burning blue-hot energy. Inside, a single human male sat calmly, adjusting his helmet. His name was Ethan Cross, an explorer sent from Earth to study unknown planets. Ethan had landed on many worlds before, but Terion was different. Sensors on his ship warned him of something unusual. This planet was not empty. There were structures, tall, jagged towers that pulsed faint light. Alien in design, impossible for humans to build. He touched the control panel. "Let's see what you've got," he said to himself, stepping into his suit. The suit was made to protect him from extreme conditions, radiation, and alien toxins. His backpack contained scanners, energy tools, and weapons. Everything should have worked perfectly. Everything should have. The moment he stepped onto the rocky surface, the first problem appeared. His boots made a grinding sound, sparks flying from the soles. The scanner in his hand flickered and went dead. He frowned and checked his energy pack. It showed full charge, yet the equipment refused to work. Ethan lifted his helmet visor to examine it. Nothing obvious. No damage. Then he noticed movement. From behind one of the glowing towers, aliens emerged. They were tall, with thin limbs, smooth skin, and large black eyes that reflected the strange sky. They moved gracefully, their bodies gliding rather than walking. Their hands had 3 long fingers ending in small suction pads. Their armor shimmered with light, but no weapons were visible. The aliens stopped at a distance, watching Ethan. They whispered among themselves in a language of clicks and hums. Ethan studied them quietly, noting every detail. He knew one wrong move could provoke them. He raised his empty scanner. "Looks like my toys don't work here," he muttered. He carefully removed a small knife from his belt, a simple tool, not advanced technology, and tested the ground near him. The rocks were hard but brittle. He smiled. Simple tools would work here. Simple hands could work. One alien stepped closer, tilting its head. Ethan froze. This close, he could see its skin was almost translucent, veins glowing faintly beneath. Its eyes, large and unblinking, studied him with curiosity. For a moment, Ethan felt fear. Then he remembered. Humans survive. Humans adapt. He slowly knelt and touched a small rock, crushing it in his hand. The alien watched, fascinated. Ethan picked up another rock, shaped it into a sharp point, and held it like a spear. He did not threaten the alien. He only showed. He understood the world. The aliens whispered again. Another one extended a long limb, pointing at Ethan's backpack. It glowed briefly, as if sensing the energy inside. Ethan tensed. He reached for his knife, ready, but the alien did not attack. Instead, it touched a small device on its wrist. A holographic image flickered above it, showing a human figure in his suit. Ethan realized they were trying to understand him. They did not know what humans were, what technology could do, or how strong humans could be. He smiled under his helmet. This was going to be interesting. He decided to test them. He dropped his knife and raised his hands in a non-threatening gesture. Then, with quick movement, he rolled to the side and picked up a small piece of metal from the ground. The aliens flinched. Their sensors blinked rapidly. Ethan laughed quietly. His first lesson: humans do not depend on gadgets to survive. Humans use intelligence. Humans use creativity. The aliens whispered again. They formed a semicircle, surrounding him without closing in. Their movements were precise, almost like a dance. Ethan noticed that none of them had weapons. Perhaps they thought their technology alone could protect them. That would soon change. He crouched low and began studying the terrain. There were small ridges, tiny plants, and pools of strange liquid that reflected the sky. Ethan touched one. It was sticky but not dangerous. Using his hands, he molded a small mound of rock and mud. He created a simple trap just in case. The aliens paused, watching the human manipulate the planet like he had done it his whole life. One alien moved closer, more boldly. Ethan held his ground. The alien paused just a few meters away, raising its hand. Ethan raised his hand too. There was a moment of silence, broken only by the faint hum of alien technology. Then, surprisingly, the alien lowered its hand slightly, tilting its head. A small gesture of recognition. Ethan realized something. These aliens were advanced, but they did not understand humans. They assumed their tech would always work. They assumed strength and survival came from tools. But humans were different. Humans survived in ways no machine could predict. Humans adapted to the unexpected. He smiled. "Guess you've never seen a human up close," he said softly. "Well, here I am." The wind picked up, carrying the scent of strange minerals. Ethan adjusted his backpack. His scanners still did not work. His weapons were useless. But he did not panic. He never panicked. Instead, he began moving carefully, testing the ground, observing the aliens, and learning how the world worked. The aliens continued to watch, confused and intrigued. One whispered something that caused the others to tilt their heads in unison. Ethan did not understand their language, but he understood their curiosity. They had seen many species before, but none like him. A crack of lightning lit the sky, briefly revealing a wider view of the alien towers. Ethan realized the outpost was massive, possibly abandoned, possibly still active. Either way, he would need to survive long enough to explore it. And if his equipment failed, he would use his mind, his hands, and his instincts, the tools of every human who had survived before him. The aliens flinched slightly as Ethan picked up a larger rock, testing its weight. He balanced it, threw it lightly into the air, caught it, and smiled under his helmet. "This world isn't ready for me yet," he muttered. The first human had arrived, and the aliens were about to learn something new. Technology does not define a species. Courage, creativity, and adaptability do. And humans had all three in abundance. From the shadows, one alien moved slightly closer, watching, learning. Ethan's journey on Tarian had begun. His gear had failed, but humans never failed themselves. Ethan had expected some trouble on Tarian, but he had not expected his equipment to fail so quickly. The scanners flickered and died. The energy blade in his belt fizzled and went cold, and even his protective gloves tore when he picked up a jagged piece of alien metal. His tools were useless. Every device he had counted on was failing, one after another. He glanced around. The aliens, still observing him from a distance, seemed equally puzzled. Their black, reflective eyes blinked slowly, studying every motion. Ethan realized something important. These creatures were not aggressive yet. They were curious, unsure what kind of being a human was. "Okay," Ethan muttered under his breath. "If the tech fails, we go old school." He crouched and examined the ground, noting rocks, sticks, and the strange, sticky liquid pools. He picked up a sharp rock and held it like a knife. Then he found a sturdy vine-like plant and twisted it into a rope. With simple materials, he began to improvise. His suit offered some protection, but now he had to rely on his hands and mind more than ever. The nearest alien shifted slightly, stepping forward. Its body was smooth, but its movements were precise, almost mechanical. It reached out a finger, hovering near a small device on Ethan's belt. Ethan smiled and tapped the device gently. It sparked and died. The alien recoiled, clearly surprised. He had not attacked, but the alien's reaction told him it did not understand humans at all. Ethan tested another device, a small scanner meant to detect life forms. He turned it on. The screen glowed for a second, then went completely black. He tapped it again. Nothing. He chuckled softly. "Well, looks like I'm on my own." He turned his attention to the terrain. The ground was uneven, but he noticed small ridges and shallow pits. He picked up a few rocks and set up simple traps, barely enough to alert him if any creature approached. Each step had to be calculated. Every action mattered. The aliens whispered among themselves. Ethan could not understand the clicks and hums, but he could sense their tension. They had never seen a being survive so easily without technology. Their sensors probably detected the energy in his body, biological energy, instinct, adaptability. It was something they could not measure, and that confused them. Suddenly, one alien advanced. It moved slowly, cautious, holding a tool that looked like a scanning rod. Ethan held his ground. He raised a hand in a calm gesture, showing no aggression. The alien paused, tilted its head, then extended the rod toward him. Ethan ducked and rolled to the side, throwing a small rock at the base of the rod. It knocked the rod off balance. The alien recoiled. Its black eyes widened, reflecting a mixture of fear and fascination. Ethan grinned under his helmet. He did not attack. He simply reacted. Humans survived by reacting, by thinking faster than danger could move. From the shadows, another alien joined. Together they circled him, trying to predict his movements. Ethan observed carefully. Their steps were smooth, precise, almost predictable. He began to move deliberately, using simple tricks. A sudden jump, a quick crouch, a careful toss of a rock. Each move surprised the aliens. They were learning, but slowly, Ethan realized his advantage. Technology had failed him, but humans had. The aliens had never seen anything like Ethan Cross. They had watched him all day, analyzing his movements, trying to understand why his equipment failed, but he still survived. Their advanced technology could read energy signatures, detect weaknesses, and predict outcomes, but none of it worked on him. Ethan noticed their hesitation. From behind a glowing tower, 3 aliens emerged cautiously. They moved slowly, extending long, thin limbs with strange devices attached. Ethan's instincts told him they were testing him, trying to trap him or study his reactions. He crouched, low, and studied them carefully, analyzing every motion just as they analyzed him. The first alien extended a rod that emitted a faint pulse of energy. Ethan watched the pulse flicker and die before it reached him. He frowned. His suit's sensors were useless, but somehow the alien's technology faltered in his presence. He smiled. Humans adapted. Technology was only a tool. Instinct and intelligence mattered more. He picked up a sturdy stick from the ground and held it ready. The aliens inched closer, their movements precise but hesitant. Ethan studied the first one's pattern. A step, a pause, a tilt of its head. He waited. Then, with quick reflexes, he ducked under the alien's reach and rolled to the side, tossing a small rock at its base. The alien stumbled slightly, its sensors blinking in confusion. The second alien tried a different approach. It extended 2 limbs toward him, one holding a small device that glowed with blue energy. Ethan noticed the device was designed to immobilize creatures quickly. He thought fast. He grabbed a piece of jagged metal from the ground and struck it against a rock. Sparks flew and the alien recoiled, startled by the sudden noise. Ethan smiled under his helmet. The alien's technology was advanced, yes, but humans were unpredictable. A third alien approached from behind a ridge, attempting to flank him. Ethan sensed it immediately. He twisted a vine into a loop and swung it at the alien, tangling one limb. The alien froze, blinking its black eyes rapidly. Ethan crouched low and observed them. Even without technology, humans could defend themselves. Humans could think faster, act quicker, and improvise better than most creatures, even advanced aliens. The aliens paused, clearly reconsidering their plan. Ethan saw their hesitation as an opportunity. He studied the terrain. Small ridges, sticky, pools, jagged rocks. With his hands, he began shaping a simple barrier of rocks and mud, enough to protect him temporarily. One alien inched closer, testing the trap. It triggered a small alert Ethan had designed, and he ducked behind a rock. The alien paused, confused. Humans used strategy. Humans planned. Humans survived. From a distance, another alien sent a pulse into the ground. Ethan noticed the vibrations. It was meant to detect movement, but his instincts were sharper. He shifted silently to the side, avoiding detection. He realized something crucial. The aliens had sensors, but they could be fooled. Their technology was impressive, but their minds were limited. Humans had creativity where machines could not think. The first alien lunged again, tentacles reaching toward him. Ethan sidestepped and grabbed a jagged piece of metal. He didn't strike, only blocked, redirecting the alien's momentum. The alien stumbled and its companions paused, blinking rapidly. Ethan whispered to himself, "Patience, strategy, observation, the human way." He moved carefully, planting small traps. A sharp rock here, a slippery patch there, a tangle of vines over a ridge. Each trap was simple, but it worked. One alien triggered a vine and almost fell. Another miscalculated a step and stumbled into a sticky pool. Ethan watched quietly, noting their reactions. They were intelligent, yes, but they underestimated humans. One alien moved closer, more boldly than the others. It extended a long limb toward him, trying to touch the rock trap. Ethan didn't move aggressively. Instead, he crouched low, watching its sensors blink and flicker. He reached slowly and tapped the alien's limb with a stick. The alien recoiled, unsure, its sensors going haywire. Ethan smiled. Humans could teach even the most advanced species lessons in survival. Suddenly, a pulse of wind swept across the plateau. Dust and tiny stones flew through the air, and one alien lost its balance. Ethan seized the moment. He picked up a rock, heavier this time, and tossed it gently toward a nearby ridge. The rock skidded unpredictably, startling the alien. It blinked, its black eyes rapidly, confused and cautious. Ethan laughed quietly under his helmet. Predictability was the enemy of humans, and humans thrived on unpredictability. He crouched near a sticky pool and touched the liquid. It was unusual, but not dangerous. He scooped a handful and coated the tip of a jagged rock with it. The rock now had extra weight and stickiness. When tossed, it moved erratically, making it almost impossible to predict. Ethan tested it and smiled. One small human mind against 3 advanced aliens, and he was already teaching them something new. The aliens whispered among themselves, their voices low but tense. One extended a limb toward him, this time holding a glowing device. Ethan studied it carefully. It was meant to immobilize, to control, but humans were not controlled easily. He waited until the alien's energy pulse reached the ground, then rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the beam. The alien stumbled, sensors flickering wildly. Ethan suppressed a grin. He realized something important. The aliens were learning, yes, but slowly. They could not predict every human movement. They assumed technology was power, but humans did not need technology to be powerful. Intelligence, adaptability, and quick reflexes were enough. The first alien whispered something, and the others tilted their heads. Ethan crouched low and observed. Their gestures suggested caution, curiosity, and a strange form of respect. They had not faced a creature like him before, a human who could survive without machines, without weapons, without gadgets. The day was ending, and Tarian's strange sun began to sink behind jagged towers. Ethan adjusted his backpack, checking his improvised weapons and traps. His gear was useless, but he was not. Humans survived against impossible odds. Humans thrived where machines failed, and humans could teach even advanced aliens a lesson in unpredictability and ingenuity. From the shadows, one alien moved slightly closer, its black eyes studying him. Ethan smiled under his helmet. This encounter was far from over. The aliens wanted to understand him, maybe even capture him, but they had no idea what humans could do. Ethan crouched, preparing for the night ahead. He had survived a day against alien observers without any technology. The aliens might have machines, numbers, and planning, but humans had something they could not predict: the human mind. The alien observers had learned one thing for certain: the human could survive without technology. Every gadget Ethan carried had failed. Every weapon had been useless. Yet here he was, moving with confidence across the jagged terrain of Tarion. The aliens whispered among themselves, their clicks and hums full of confusion. How could a fragile-looking creature thrive where their machines struggled? Ethan crouched behind a ridge studying the alien formations. They moved slowly, circling, trying to predict his next move. He smiled under his helmet. They thought in patterns, measured reactions, and relied on precision. Humans were different. Humans thrived on chaos, creativity, and instinct. He picked up a sharp rock and tested its weight. Then a vine-like plant, thick and sturdy, he twisted into a rope. Using a piece of jagged metal, he sharpened a makeshift spear. None of it was advanced, but it was enough. Simple tools paired with intelligence often outmatched the most sophisticated technology. Ethan's first step was to create a small defensive area. He arranged rocks into a low wall, set up a few sticky traps with the strange alien liquid, and scattered vines to trip anything that approached. Each step was deliberate. Humans planned, but they could improvise when the situation changed. That was his greatest strength. The aliens moved closer, their long limbs stretching toward him. One extended a tool that glowed faintly. Ethan studied it. The device pulsed with energy, meant to immobilize anything in its range. He did not panic. He ducked behind a rock, grabbing a piece of sticky liquid from the nearby pool. Coating the ground, he created a slippery patch. When the alien stepped forward, its sensors faltered and it nearly fell. Ethan rolled to the side, picking up a jagged shard of metal. He did not strike the alien. He only redirected it, using the alien's own momentum against it. The alien stumbled, blinking its black eyes rapidly. He whispered to himself, "Every problem has a solution. Humans just find it faster." From behind another ridge, an alien tried to flank him. Ethan noticed immediately. He grabbed a rock heavier than the rest and tossed it into a small pit he had dug earlier. The rock clattered loudly, catching the alien's attention. The creature shifted, sensors blinking, unsure where the sound came from. Humans used the environment. Humans turned hazards into opportunities. Ethan crouched low, touching the sticky liquid pool again. He dipped the tip of a jagged rock in it, making it both heavier and more unpredictable. He tested it by tossing it gently across the ground. The rock skidded and spun erratically, sliding past rocks and mud before stopping. One alien stepped toward it, curious. The moment it touched the ground, the rock stuck briefly to its sensor limb, causing the alien to jump back. Ethan suppressed a laugh. Unpredictable. Clever. Human. The son of Terion had dipped behind jagged towers, leaving long shadows across the rocky plateau. Ethan crouched behind a small ridge, listening to the faint hum of alien activity. The three observers who had been circling him all day were still there, but now, their movements seemed slower, more cautious. They were learning, adapting, but not fast enough. Ethan adjusted his makeshift spear and looked around. His gear had failed completely. The scanner was dead. The energy blade had fizzled out hours ago. Even his protective gloves had torn. But he did not panic. Humans survived in ways no machine could predict. Humans thrived on intelligence, instinct, and adaptability. That was his advantage. A soft sound caught his attention. From the shadows, several more aliens emerged, moving cautiously. They were larger, their limbs longer, and they carried glowing devices that pulsed faintly. Ethan's first thought was defensive. More aliens meant more risk. But he quickly realized he did not need weapons to survive. He had his mind, his hands, and the environment itself. The first new alien stepped closer, raising a glowing rod. Ethan crouched lower and threw a small rock across the plateau. It skidded unpredictably, forcing the alien to shift its balance. Another alien stepped toward him, triggering a trap of vines and sticky liquid he had prepared earlier. The alien stumbled, sensors flickering, clearly frustrated. Ethan whispered under his breath, "They think technology makes them strong. They don't know humans don't need it." He moved carefully, observing their patterns. Every alien that approached had a predictable rhythm. Step forward, pause, measure, adjust. Humans were unpredictable. That made all the difference. He tossed a jagged rock at a ridge, creating a sound to distract them. One alien turned, stepping into a shallow pit he had dug earlier. Another tried to reach him with a glowing rod, only to slip on a sticky patch. Despite their numbers, the aliens were cautious. Their devices pulsed with energy, ready to immobilize or control, but the terrain and Ethan's quick thinking made them hesitant. They had underestimated the human mind. Ethan crouched near a jagged rock, studying the aliens' movements. They were intelligent, but their reliance on technology made them predictable. Humans relied on creativity and adaptability. Even in the face of advanced devices, he had options. He smiled under his helmet. This was more than survival. It was a lesson in human ingenuity. One of the original three aliens, the closest observer, moved forward cautiously. Its long limb extended, holding a small glowing device. Ethan did not back away. Instead, he crouched, low, and raised a hand, showing he meant no harm. The alien paused, tilting its head. Its sensors blinked slowly, almost as if it were trying to understand him. Ethan picked up a sharp rock and balanced it in his hand, not as a weapon, but as a display. He tested its weight, threw it lightly, and caught it. The alien blinked again, studying the movement. Humans were small, fragile-looking, and yet agile, creative, and intelligent. That combination confused the aliens. The new arrivals hesitated. They could see their companions struggling to predict Ethan's moves. They whispered in clicks and hums, communicating in ways he could not understand. But the tone was clear. Caution, curiosity, and something else, perhaps respect. Ethan crouched and touched a sticky pool, testing its texture. He coated a small rock in the substance and tossed it near one of the aliens. The rock skidded, sticking briefly to the alien's leg. It stumbled, sensors flickering. Ethan smiled. Humans could teach lessons without aggression, without weapons, without technology. He studied the plateau carefully. A few more traps, minor adjustments, and he could manage the group. Humans thrived on ingenuity. Humans survived against impossible odds. Humans could outthink even the most advanced species. That truth had become clear to the aliens. One alien moved closer than the others, extending a limb cautiously. Ethan lowered his spear slightly, not in fear but in recognition. They were attempting communication, or at least observation, at close range. The human mind had earned their attention. From behind a ridge, another alien emitted a soft pulse. Its glowing rod flared briefly. Ethan crouched low, dodging slightly, then tapped a jagged rock to the ground. The alien stumbled, sensors blinking wildly. Humans did not rely on technology. Humans relied on timing, instinct, and intelligence. The aliens began to retreat slightly, reassessing their approach. Ethan noticed their hesitation. They were beginning to understand that this human was different. He was not weak. He was not fragile. He was unpredictable, clever, and capable of surviving where machines failed. Ethan moved carefully across the plateau, triggering traps and using environmental hazards. Each time an alien adjusted, he improvised. A slippery patch here, a loose rock there, a vine stretched across a ridge. Simple, natural, effective. The alien's devices flickered, their energy pulses failing to catch him. Humans did not need technology to be powerful. Humans were powerful because of their minds. One of the original three aliens moved closer than before. Its black eyes reflected curiosity. Ethan crouched low, showing no aggression. The alien tilted its head, then lowered its limb slightly. Recognition. Respect. Humans had earned their attention not through strength, but through ingenuity. The larger group of aliens remained cautious, observing from a distance. They whispered, in clicks and hums, their devices pulsing faintly. Ethan understood one thing clearly. They now saw him as more than a creature to capture or study. They saw a species unlike any other they had encountered. Ethan crouched near a rock, surveying the plateau. His gear was useless, but he was not. Humans thrived on creativity, intelligence, and adaptability. They survived where machines failed. They could challenge even advanced alien species. That truth had become evident. A gust of wind swept across the ridge, sending dust swirling. One alien flinched, sensors blinking. Ethan crouched low, blending with the shadows. Humans could hide, move, and use the environment naturally. Machines often could not. The aliens had learned a lesson they had not expected. The human mind was more dangerous than any weapon. As night fell, Ethan adjusted his makeshift spear and checked his traps. The aliens watched silently, no longer attempting direct attack. They had recognized his abilities. Humans were clever, resourceful, and unpredictable. That combination had earned their respect. Ethan whispered under his breath, "Not bad for one day." He crouched low, ready to continue his exploration of the towers. His journey on Tarion was far from over, but he had survived and proven something important. Humans did not need technology to thrive. Humans survived, adapted, and taught lessons in ways no machine could. The aliens whispered among themselves, low hums of confusion, curiosity, and recognition. Ethan had earned their respect, not by force but by showing what humans could do, and as he prepared for the next phase of exploration, he knew one thing clearly. The galaxy would not underestimate humans again. The night on Tarion was cold, but Ethan Cross felt alive. The three original aliens, along with the larger group that had arrived later, stayed back observing him from a distance. They had learned one thing. The human could survive without technology, without weapons, and without fear. They had underestimated him, and now they understood. Ethan crouched, behind a jagged rock scanning the alien towers. The structures were massive, glowing faintly under Tarion's twin moons. He knew the aliens valued these towers, and he also knew that they had only just begun to understand humans. If he wanted to explore, he had to use his mind and instincts, not gadgets. He tested the ground with a sharp rock, checking for stability. Then he examined a sticky pool nearby. With quick thinking, he coated a vine in the substance, creating a simple, improvised tool. It was not advanced, but it worked. Every movement he made was deliberate, efficient, and calculated. Humans thrived on intelligence, not machinery. The aliens whispered among themselves, their clicks and hums faint but tense. One of the originals stepped forward cautiously, its long, thin limb extended, sensing him. Ethan crouched low, showing no aggression. The alien paused, sensors blinking slowly, almost as if it were trying to understand him. Recognition. Respect. Humans did not rely on gadgets. Humans relied on instinct, creativity, and adaptability. Ethan took a deep breath. He wanted to explore the towers tonight. But he also wanted the aliens to see something, not violence, not confrontation. Humans could leave a mark without harming anyone. He picked up a jagged rock and tossed it lightly, causing it to land precisely near the entrance of the nearest tower. Then another, creating a simple path marked by movement. The aliens blinked, observing every action. Humans were clever. Humans could manipulate the environment with simple tools, simple actions, and yet achieve results that machines could not. Ethan smiled under his helmet. This was more than survival. This was a demonstration of what humans could do. He moved carefully, testing the terrain. Loose rocks, uneven ridges, sticky pools. Everything became a tool in his hands. One alien inched closer, curious, sensors flickering. Ethan crouched and balanced a small rock on a sticky patch. When he nudged it lightly, it skidded unpredictably, startling the alien. He whispered softly, "Humans thrive where others fail." The aliens paused, exchanging clicks and hums. They had never seen a being manipulate its environment so effectively without gadgets. They had never faced a creature